All right, welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at a deck profile for the DBS Go format after the sort of tournament review video that we put out the other day. That did pretty well and it's gotten some good feedback. I've had people reach out to me about wanting to see deck profiles and stuff, so I'm going to start doing a few. This is a deck that I have loved forever. In the video too, I mentioned that there was someone that played a Demigra deck, and big fan of it there too. Their deck is a little bit different than kind of the way that I play it too, but this is one of the decks I did consider playing in that event, so it just made sense to me as one of the first ones to show off. This deck has been kind of cool like forever for me. When it first came out it was fine, it got better as it went on, and then even nowadays it still has like cool support, which is pretty neat. But in the Go format, I think it still handles itself pretty well. So looking at the leader here, we have Demigra. His auto here, when he attacks a leader card, you place 3 cards on the top of your deck in your drop area, and if all the cards placed in the drop area are black, you draw a card. So mill 3, they're all black, draw a card. This is a 99% mono black deck, so that's going to happen more often than not. And if it doesn't, okay, so what? But most of the time what will end up happening is you'll use your 3 milled cards for an overwhelm later. So you're kind of happy either way, but if you get a draw card, you get to draw a card, and most of the time you'll get 2. Then as an awaken effect, when your life is at 4 or less, you may choose up to 2 of your energy, switch them to active mode, and then flip this card over. Regular 10k leader. Backside we got a 15k Ghastly Malice Demigra. This one here is signed by my buddy Peter Catani. He played a lot of Demigra at one point. I played a lot of Demigra at one point. It felt pretty fitting to have the homie sign a card. So shout out to Peter Catani, still haven't signed this. But this has Wormhole. This is pretty special to Demigra. There's, even to this day, still very few things that get to do Wormhole. But you can activate Overwhelm and Dark Overwhelm up to 2 times a turn instead of your normal once. Auto, when this card attacks, draw a card, and then activate main once per turn, choose up to 3 black cards in your warp, and place them in your drop area. A lot of times this is just going to help set up a second Overwhelm or a larger Overwhelm so that you can pull off your Wormhole that you get to do. It's not a crazy leader as far as like the effects that it gets to do, but getting to Overwhelm twice is really strong, and there's a lot of things that you can do to maximize the value of that. So up first, one of the things that's really, really important about Demigra is you want to you want to pull off the kind of Demigra combo, which happens on your turn 2 using the sort of Demigra package that exists. We'll take a quick look at that here first. So you've got 4 copies of Demigra Demonic Overlord. Now, this is sort of like the bread and butter. This is why you're doing this deck. So maximum copies. He's a 3-drop 20k, which I guess is fine if you had to play him. You're never going to play this card. Activate main, burst 2, so mill 2 cards, pay 2 energy. If your leader is a Demigra or a Toa, you can place this card from your hand into your drop area. So you never play it, you just discard it. So it can't get counterplayed or anything like that, which is really important. Then you choose 1 or 2 cards in your life and add them to your hand. Then choose up to 1 Gravy and 1 Poutine from your deck and or Warp and play them. Shuffle your deck if you look through it. So you get to discard this card, take 1 or 2 life, which is essentially draw 1 or 2 cards, and then play up to 2 battle cards from your deck. So huge value for 2 energy. So we get to grab Poutines and Gravies. So let's take a look at them. So at the time of this set, there's really only 1 Poutine you're going to use, and it is Frigid Blast Poutine. We're going to run a full 4 of this as well, so that you have maximum chances to hit it off of the Demigra effect. It has Dark Overwhelm 3, so you could play it if you wanted to. Auto, when you play this card, choose one of your Demigra with the cost of 4 or less from your deck, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So you get a 2-cost 10k. It's not a great attacker, although since this happens on your turn 2 energy, 10k is still relevant at that point. But a lot of times you end up grabbing her for combo. But what she does is when you play her, which he will let you do, she then grabs another one of these from your deck. So you can kind of set up to do it a second time. Then Demigra also gets to grab a Gravy. So you'll take these 4 copies of Gravy Lightning's Might, 3-drop, 20k, basically a vanilla. He can be dark overwhelmed to pay 2. So you could pay 2 to play this guy with your overwhelm. Again, not something you're really ever going to do unless you're really stuck. Most of the time, you're just going to use the Demigra to free play these 2, and then grab another Demigra to set up to do another one. We do run one more Gravy in Demigra's Thrall. It's a 15k when it attacks or when you combo with it, so you're going to always combo with this card. If your leader's black, choose up to 2 cards in your warp and place them in your drop area. So it just helps you with setting up your next Overwhelm. And, sometimes you're at like 4 and you need to get to 6, or maybe you're at 1 and you need to get to 3. Just nice to be able to set up having enough cards to pull off a second Overwhelm or just an additional chunk there. So that's what we're looking at, right? So your turn 1 is, say you go first, you're just going to get started, pass, whatever, go into Demigra and play this for 2, play a Poutine, play a Gravy, and then play another Demigra, take 1 or 2 of your life, and then be kind of good to go there. So to really, really extend that, one of the things that's fun to do is we play 4 copies of Dark Power Black Mass Saiyan. This card is super, super staple in Super. It has been around forever and has always been good. But it is, when this card attacks, you may add 1 card from your life to your hand. So you just self-awaken. And then if you do, this card gets plus 10,000 power for the duration of the turn. When your opponent plays battle card of 15,000 power or less, using a non-keyword skill, your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand and places them in drop area. So if your opponent's going to free play something off of some kind of effect that's weaker, then they have to discard 2 cards. That happens a lot. There are plenty of like free play scenarios in this era of the game, so this is super relevant there. But what it means is, say we go first, we pay 1, or we sit down our 1 energy, we play a Mass Saiyan, pass. Our opponent plays, probably attacks us with their leader, draws a card, whatever. Because most leaders will, draw a card when they attack. That's pretty common. You're like, all right, cool, I've taken a damage. Then it goes back to your turn. You attack with Dark Power Black Mass Saiyan, take a damage. Then you play your Demigra to take 2 more damage, already putting you at your 4 life. That then awakens you, which draws you 2 cards. I apologize, this one's not, it untaps 2 energy. So yeah, you get to your 4 life, you awaken, get your 2 energy back, and now you have attacked the Mass Saiyan. You've probably attacked, honestly, with the first side of your Demigra to mill some cards and draw another card. So you've essentially drawn 2 cards for the turn. You have played the first of your Demigras now, which has taken 2 life, which has drawn you 2 more cards. It's played you a Poutine and a Gravy. The Poutine has grabbed you another Demigra, and you've now untapped 2 energy, so you can play this Demigra again to play another Poutine and Gravy. And so you can see how this really gets going. So now if we're just looking at straight up attacks that we get to do on a turn, we have a leader swing, we have the 1-drop Vegeta, we have a Poutine, we have a Gravy, we have another Poutine and a Gravy. So we're already at 6 swings on turn 2. That's going to feel pretty good. But we are, of course, an Overwhelm deck, so we want to extend those plays even further. We've spent our energy for the turn to do that. We've got, we're at 2. We've paid that 2 twice now because we got to awaken. So what do we do for free? Well, we start looking at the free Overwhelm stuff that we get. So first off, Revived Ravager Vegeta. This guy is iconic. He's been around since set 3 or 4. Just been around forever. He's a 15k critical. You can play him for free by overwhelming 3. When you play this card with Overwhelm, you then mill 3 more. So you just set up your second Overwhelm, which is perfect because Demigra lets you do a second one in a turn. So now you have a 7th attack for the turn, 15k critical. Great start. Critical is great. As you're attacking a bunch, you're going to be adding a bunch of cards to your opponent's hand, so critical is very welcome. Then we have 4 copies of Trunks Time Regulator. Geez. Overwhelms for 3, just like Vegeta, so you can play them off of each other. Then, when you play this card using Overwhelm, you draw 2 cards, choose 1 in your hand, and then send it to your warp. So you just get to draw some more cards. Perfect. So you're drawing a bunch of cards, you're playing a bunch of attacks. Here's now, if you played these 2, here's your 8 attacks now for the turn. That's pretty cool. We have 3 copies of Time's Choice Supreme Kai of Time. This is an effect that's very, very similar to Trunks. It's 15k with Overwhelm for 3. When you play this card using Overwhelm, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose a battle card, and then put it in your hand. The rest go to the bottom of your deck. So at the end of the day, you're really still like +1ing the same equivalence that you would with Trunks. Trunks is draw 2, discard 1. She's just draw 1 out of the top 3 of your deck. You gotta dig a little bit to kind of pick the right one. He lets you draw 2. Essentially, they're just 7 15ks that you can play for free that draw you cards. With playing this many cards and attacking this many times, you're going to want to be comboing, you're going to want to be drawing cards, so having access to that stuff is going to be good. And then, because he is legal here in this format, we get to play 4 copies of Turles the Unstoppable Ghost Warrior. This card is crazy. So he is a 10k with dual attack, so he attacks 2 times at 10. Activate main, choose 2 black battle cards in your drop area with cost between 3 and 7. Put them at the bottom of your deck in any order, and then play this card from your hand. You're just going to play them for free by putting cards from your discard pile back into your deck. It's got to be 2 cards, so fun thing that you can do. You can combo with your Gravy that we looked at earlier that puts 2 cards back, and that immediately turns on a Turles. Or you can use your Demigra leader skill on the Awaken side, which put 3 cards back. That turns on another Turles. This is not once per turn either. So as you get going and you like attack with these and you maybe combo with the Poutines that you've played because they're just 10ks, that puts them in the discard pile, and then you can put them into your deck with Turles to play him, and now he has a 10k dual attack. Activate battle, choose a card in your hand to place in your drop area. He gets plus 5k for the turn. So now he's a 15k. So you can attack them 2 times at 15k, which makes him your 9th and 10th 15k or better attack for the turn on turn 2. Any number of these that you can play. So it could be 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. If you drew like nuts, you're never going to draw that, but you could because that card is free. Speaking of free cards that are still legal, we have Nigrishi from the Shadows. This card was introduced in the 5th draft box, called Draft Box 2 on the cards, and then existed for like a couple of weeks, and then was immediately banned when they announced the Vegex starter because it was super, super duper broken. But before that, this card was legal and is still pretty good. So permanent, when this card's placed in the drop area from a battle area or combo area, it's placed at the bottom of your deck instead. So you can't get this into your discard pile from play or from your hand if you combo it in any way. It's got to get there on its own, which is fine because you burst with many cards in your deck. There's plenty of ways to get this guy into your discard pile. But while he's in your discard pile, activate main or battle. You choose one of your black battle cards at the cost of 3 and send it to its owner's warp. Then play this card from your drop area. So all of these Overwhelm guys that are 3, all these Turleses that are 3, this whole pile of cards are 3 costs. You also have the Gravies, the Lightning Smites, that are 3 costs as well. So you have a huge pile of 3-cost cards in your deck to trigger this off of. So you have your Overwhelms that are going to leave play at the end of the turn anyway, because that's how Overwhelm works. So Nigrishi, you can just, instead of them leaving play, you can send them to the warp to play this guy from your discard pile. He's now a new, fresh 15k attacker that you've played for free. So if assuming we just hit the one Turles earlier, that was our 9th and 10th attack, this could be our 11th attack afterward, and you could replace any number of any of those Overwhelm guys with Nigrishis in your discard pile. Now, he does have to get there manually, so you do have to mill him, which is why I don't have him at 4, but still plenty doable. Another really, really fun thing, Turles' effect. Activate battle, choose a card in your hand, place it in your drop area. So you swing with Turles, 10k, discard a Nigrishi. He now becomes a 15k, because Nigrishi says if he goes in from your battle area or combo area, not from your hand. So you can discard him with Turles. Turles is now a 15k dual attack, and then after Turles is done attacking, you can then switch the Turles for the Nigrishi you just discarded to have more attacks going on. He's just nuts. The aggression that you can play with this deck is absurd. We have one last Overwhelm target I forgot to mention earlier. This is Bardock Awakened Instincts. He's a 4, an Overwhelm 4. He's our only Overwhelm 4 guy. He has 20k power. When you play this card with Overwhelm, you draw 2 cards, then choose 1 card in your hand, place it in your drop area, such as an Agrishi. Just another combo that he can do, but really it's just a 20k that you can play for free and draw more cards. As these cards are leaving play, whether it's at the end of your turn when an Overwhelm card leaves play, or when you use an Agrishi to send a guy from play to the warp, those are all skills that are doing that. Overwhelm is the skill that makes him leave play, and Agrishi's skill is doing that. You can use SS3 Tag Team Sun Gohan. He is a blocker 15k. He costs 4, but you'll never pay for him. When you play a black battle card, or when a black battle card is removed from your battle area by a skill, you can activate the skill and play this card from your hand. So when one of those black cards leaves, you then get a 15k blocker to have up afterward. You can do that at the end of your turn when an Overwhelm happens, or if you can trigger it otherwise, so you can do it aggressively. You can choose then not to attack with this card and have a blocker up for defense, or you can choose to just attack with it, and you have another 15k attacker, which puts you at your, 12th, 13th attack for the turn, assuming you've only gotten 1 Nagrishi. The following turn, all those Overwhelm cards are going to leave play, and you'll get to do the Overwhelm again. But when you did your second Poutine will grab a 3rd Demigra, and then on your following turn, you can use Demigra again to take 1 or 2 more life. A lot of times at that point it's going to be 1 life because you're already low, but you can take another life to play more guys. And then that turn you have a little bit more. You have a 3rd energy. And if on that turn you can pay 1 to play Mira Creator Absorbed. He has Deflect, so he can't be counterplayed. When you play this card using Union, ignore this whole chunk of text. You're never going to do that. You're just going to Overwhelm him for 1. When this card attacks, it gains plus 5k for each card in your warp. There are going to be a ton of cards in your warp because you're going to be overwhelming a lot. So you swing this, it is a 30k, and then, gets plus 5k, plus 5k, plus 5k for every card you have. There are plenty of times that this hits for like 70, 80, 90k without even comboing, and is a spectacular finisher, always has been. And coupled with him, if you don't spend your 2 energy for another Demigra, and you have energy up still, you could use one of those energy to play Furthering Destruction Champa, which we're going to run 2 copies of. Now this is the only card in the deck that is not black, but is the bread and butter combo, the twin brother of Mira here. Every time you're going to see a Mira, you should always assume you're about to get Champa'd as well. When you combo this card, you get double strike, so you swing Mira for 90k or whatever you're going to, and then pay 1 to go to 100, and it's double strike, so now I hit you for 2 to push that final game. This little combo has always, to date, been a huge threat, to the point of being a bannable thing in the modern game. Here, still present and still very, very lethal. We've got 4 super combos. Now, the super combo situation in this deck is cool because you can kind of do what you want with it. I play here in this version, I play Bibbidi, which is a super combo. It gives you 10k, or it gives you plus 3k instead of plus 10 like the normal super combos do, or plus 5, sorry. But then plus 10 because of the power. But this one says, when you combo with this card from your hand, it gets plus 1,000 power for the turn for each card in your drop and warp. So you just count all your cards that have hit discard pile or warp and add 1,000 power for each of those. So there's plenty of times that this gives plus 20k or something instead of your regular plus 10 that you get from a super combo. It is a little bit risk reward because if you draw this early, you don't have that many cards in your discard pile and it's only plus 3 instead of plus 5 like a normal card. But there's also no life condition on this, so you can do it immediately, which is very cool. You can also use the Roshi super combo, which is the 4 life one, because you're going to put yourself to 4 life pretty much instantaneously. That's a great option. There's the Supreme Kai one that's if you have 5 cards in your warp. That's also doable too, because your warp's going to fill up really fast. But there's some times that you put cards from your warp into your discard pile to do like something in the future, which might mess up your timing on a Kai. So I just picked it because the output is the highest possible, and with as aggressive as this deck wants to be, it just makes sense to push the most damage. So we have a couple things in the deck that aren't fully aggressive, but this one still sort of is. So Super Kamehameha is a counterplay. It costs 1. If your leader is black and your life is at 4 or less, the battle card being played has a cost of 3 or less. It is sent to its owner's warp instead of being played. Cool. So we get to counterplay a 3 or less cost. Permanent, if you have only black cards in your energy and your life is at 4 or less, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand by adding a card from your life to your hand instead of paying its energy cost. So, why we have this card. In this game, very, very, very prominent in this era is Righteous Aid Topo. He is a floodgate. He costs 4, but he is played as though he costs 2. And when your opponent plays him, they discard a card, and for the remainder of the turn, you cannot attack unless you discard cards from your hand, which we hate if that happens because we want to play all those cards and combo with those cards and use them for violence. And Topo doesn't like that. So on our turn, we do our, we get, if we are at, 6 life or whatever for the turn, and we use our Demigra that we discard from hand for 2, that puts us at 4 life. We awaken. We then start swinging for turn. We can use this card if our opponent, so say we went second, and we're at 2 energy, our opponent's at 2 energy. They now have a Topo online. Going second is scary for this deck because it means a Topo can happen. So you always want to hit first if possible. But, and getting to do, 13 swings on your turn 2, their turn 1 is really, really good, especially in this format where people play like a tapped energy for their first energy. Super strong. But you are often at 4 life before you start doing anything relevant on your turn. So you can play this as your opponent swings their first attack, take a life to go to 3, and then stop the Topo from being played. So you can keep doing your nonsense. Then you have 3 life left, and when you do your second Demigraph for turn 2, you can take 1 life instead of 2 to go to 2 life. Or if you're really feeling brave, you could still take 2 and go to 1. I wouldn't really risk that myself because sometimes you have to just be able to take a damage, but I would take the 1. And part of the reason I would take the 1 is because we run 3 copies of Power Burst. Power Burst is pay 1, counter attack, your leader is black, negate the attack, then choose a black battle card from your drop or warp with the cost of 1, add it to your hand. In this case, that is only the Dark Power Black Mass Saiyan. If you have 5 cards in your discard pile at the time, you can activate this card's skill without paying its cost and just by taking 1 damage. So if you're at the 3 life when you play your second Demigra, you can pay, or you say you're at 4, you played this to go to 3, you can then Demigra to go to 2, and now on your opponent's turn, going into their turn 3, you can have a Power Burst left still, even though you've tapped out to do your double Demigra and all that stuff. So you still have a Power Burst left, which will put you at 1, which you can then try to defend your way out of. That is the entire deck. The whole point is just go, 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 get the gas going, combo as big as you can. Eventually, if they survive through that your second turn, your big like 13, 14 attack turn, then you just do it again the next turn with Mira as the giant finisher, and that just tends to work. You have to know when you're playing this deck that like there is no slowing down and like taking your foot off the brakes or off the gas. It is just do it big. So just play every card you can, turn every card you can sideways, and see what happens. I freaking love playing this deck. It's so fun. It's more aggressive than almost any deck in the format, in almost any of the formats ever. The biggest downside to it is that you're just attacking for like 15s or sometimes 20Ks, but most of the time just 15s. So once your opponent gets awakened, all you have to do is combo a card to get out of it. So sometimes that is fairly easy for them to do, but once you run them out of cards in your hand, you can sort of push some more. But you just have to be careful where you're lining up the push that you do, because sometimes you're just like putting yourself to 1 or 2 for no reason because you're not going to win. You don't have the kill ready, And if that's the case, then don't overextend. So save yourself the couple of life to be able to do a Demigra R2 the following turn and strike back that way. Thanks for checking out the deck. Stay tuned for more. This one is one I just tend to love and was really excited to do as a first video. There will be plenty more in the near future. Adios.